Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a
You
long
good?
ass motherfucking day, but
Hey,
oh
one thing about us as nurses, we are resilient, right? Resilient, resilient,
yeah, yeah.
resilient.
I believe that.
We are
Uh,
very much so. All right, I'm trying to tag you in this post over here. Let me just go ahead
Are
and
we
tag
live or
you.
are we like live? Are we streaming live?
We are streaming live.
What the fuck could you do to me and shit? Like
Well, I
shit.
thought you. Well, Jane said told us to kind of get it together, so
Did
we
she
have
tell
gotten
us to
it
go?
together.
Did she say go live on Facebook every fucking time?
She said go live every time.
Jane,
She
Jane, I
said
was loving you, but now I don't know what the fuck to say about your ass.
she's keeping us together. We are following what she says to do, so we are doing it. It's something about when nurses are compliant, right? We are typically known to be non-compliant creatures, but we are compliant and we're doing what the expert is telling us to do. So
Well,
I
we're
think
listening to Jane, even though I don't fucking like it. The hell with you, Jane.
you don't like it.
It's like a
Oh,
mommy telling them what to do, taking their medicine, so to make them feel better. But I don't want to, mommy Jane. Leave me the hell alone.
right. She is amazing. I am extremely, extremely grateful for her and all the things that she does for us,
Yes,
making the
thank you,
podcast
Jane.
happen over and
I-
over again. But I do want to say something really exciting while we're live, and she'll probably cut this part out as we get this on the platform.
Don't you dare fucking cut shit out, Jane.
No, no.
How
Okay, well,
dare
no,
you?
Jane, keep this here then. I just want to tell you all whether you're tuning in to this live or you are watching it post our live on inside of our Nurse to Nurse podcast community. I want to tell you thank you, thank you, thank you or we want to tell you thank you. I'm gonna speak for Kevin on here. We want to tell you thank you so much for tuning into the podcast and giving us 2,000 downloads. There's something about when you just kind of take a step out on faith and you just kind of bet on something and you just be willing to try it. And then the way that you all have shown up for us has been absolutely, absolutely amazing. So we are absolutely grateful for you. Y'all, we reached 2,000 downloads. Our next goal is 3,000. Y'all come out and give it to us. Come out and
Yeah,
create the show. Let
go on
us
to
know what you want
Apple.
to say.
Yeah, go on to Apple Podcast, download that shit. Go on to Spotify, download the shit. Look, how fucking hard is that? Goddamn it! Download that shit and listen to me.
Kevin, we got one review that was just like they really really liked the show, and did she say like she can totally see us having a morning show
Oh
that she
yeah,
wake
that's
up
right.
to on that morning drive to work.
That's
That's
right.
like powerful, because I think as we share with the audience in our community is that we are really here just to mobilize the voices of nurses to make sure that we're able to drive more safe and efficient um, care at the bedside by using our voices, not selling for the shit that these organizations are telling us, but really looking and remaining patient focused. So I'm
Yeah,
excited about
me
that.
too. Me
Yes,
too.
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
but I have a question though. So we're only live here on our Nurse to Nurse podcast community. How the fuck can I share it to my page, like
Okay.
to my feed?
Okay, so go ahead. Well, I think when in the future you're gonna log in and put your social media on our StreamYard, but also you can go to my page. I tagged you in my post. Just share it to your page.
Are you like it's on your Starshema page?
Yep, it is live on
All
the
right, so let me
Starshema
go. Let
page.
me go find fuck Starshema. Oh yeah,
Okay, go
no,
find
but
me.
no, but it only lets me do send because it only lets me do it. It just says send. It won't let me share.
Okay, hold tight, hold tight. Well, let's
I
just
don't
fix this
know what
technical
the
things.
yeah. What the
Right.
fuck?
Let me edit the privacy because StreamYard
Okay,
likes to
I'm
lock
calling
our things down.
bullshit.
All right, now you should be able to share. Go ahead and refresh.
Damn, all this bullshit.
We are learning. And the great thing, Kevin, is like we get to go to school in public in front of
Still
other
says send.
nurses, other people to say, hey, do what you got to do. It's not always going to be perfect, but the idea is that you get it done.
No, still says send.
Okay, refresh your screen.
I
It's just,
did. God damn it! I
oh, so
did.
now you're my friend on Facebook anymore?
I'm right here on your yeah, but still you posted it in the group, so maybe that's why because you
No,
posted.
go to Starshema RN.
I did, god damn it. I'm on Starshema right now and it still says motherfucking sin. Cause it says on their group post. That's why. So it shows it on your page as a group post.
Okay, no, no, no. Go back.
I ain't gonna fucking worry about it, guys. Fuck
Okay,
y'all.
okay, okay, okay. Y'all see it? Y'all see the things I gotta go through behind the scene?
Oh shit!
Okay,
What the
I'm gonna
fuck did
tag
I
you in
do?
a comment
Hmm.
and then see if that pops up there.
Tag me in the comment.
Yeah. This is
Okay.
tech stuff, y'all. This tech stuff. When you get people 40 plus, type let us know if it's relatable to you. If you get people who are 40 plus and they're struggling with technology, and if this is you, we are
Yeah,
just
there we go.
human. You found it?
Yeah, I posted it to you tomorrow. We'll
Okay,
see.
cool. See, look at that. Teamwork makes the dream work. Well, that is exciting. And thank you so much for unplugging with me today, Kevin. So, Kevin and I want to talk to you all about what are the advantages, right? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? Or maybe you want to use the term, what are the benefits or the challenges that you may make have as being a float nurse, right? We also want to talk about what is some of the impact that you can make on patient care by being a float nurse, and then probably what things do you need to become a float nurse. If you're watching this, whether you're watching it live or you're watching a recording, go ahead and type one in the chat box, leave us a comment, and let us know if you are a nurse who desires to be a float nurse. I think it's pretty phenomenal to be a float nurse. Kevin, what do you think?
I do because I was a travel nurse forever. I did home care agency for a while. I would go to people's homes and spend the night and shit. I
Nice.
also did travel nursing where I'd go from hospital to hospital. There was one company I worked for as a travel agency. They sent me to a hospital in Arroyo Grande.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only motherfucking nurse there. Everybody else in the hospital, no lie, I'm not bullshitting, was an IP. What is an IP? Do you
That's what
know?
I'm asking. What is an IP?
It's a nurse who graduated school, but they haven't got their license yet, but they applied
Oh,
for what's called an intern permit.
mm-hmm.
And they have to work under who?
The nurse, the RN with the license.
Right. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what did y'all send me over here to Arroyo Grande? And I'm the only fucking nurse, and I got like 6 or 10 IPs and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I was a traveler.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with people and shit. But you know, I like that. I think you got to know a lot. You have to be confident. We talked about this off air. You have to be confident and competent. You can't be a fucking deek d if you're gonna be a
Got a
travel
DPD.
nurse or a float nurse. Well, because you know you're floating to all the different areas in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we have float nurses out there, talk to me. Tell me. Like, my question to Starshema was, do you get training in each floor that you go to? So if you go to ICU, do they give you ICU training? If so, how long? Um, if you are if you are on tele, do they give you training as a tele nurse? Do they give you EKG training? If so, how long? I mean, I want to know. Like, if you go to PACU, do they give you training to be a PACU nurse, or they just throw you there and say, "Here you go. Hope you fucking figure that shit out."
Right.
I think I already know the answer, but I want to hear back from you.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll wait for them to weigh in the chat for those that are listening to see. The goal is I really hope that they do, right? Because thinking about the impact of what a float nurse
Do you
makes
really
on the
think the
floor.
hospital wants to pay for money on training?
Hopefully they do, because in turn, by them paying upfront training and being proactive, saves a lot on the backside of it.
Ask a lot of new grads who were promised 12 weeks of training. How long do they actually get fucking training?
6. No, I'm just kidding.
6 days maybe and shit.
Oh my gosh, that's so dangerous. So Kevin, let's talk about,
But it's true.
yeah, that is true. Let's
Oh,
talk about being a float nurse, right?
okay,
Being
okay,
a
hold on.
Okay,
Before we go on,
okay.
I wanted to give a shout out to my friend's wife, Alejandra Tovar Garcia. We just
Mm,
lost a good friend. His name's Gabino Garcia. He was 38 years old. He's a good friend of mine. Although I wasn't a very good friend to him because you know, men, we sometimes we suck ass. But
mm,
Gabino died this last week. He was one of our instructors here at Central Valley Medical. He taught for me for about 3 years. He left behind a 9-year-old boy and a 13-year-old daughter and a beautiful wife. So I just want to give a
mm.
shout out to him and his family. And so may Godspeed Gabino. Okay,
Yeah.
now let's talk about float nursing.
Okay. That was really honorable. Thank you for sharing that with us, and we pray that she heals and gets comfort in the season during this time for sure. All right. So Kevin, thinking about this. So we're talking about being a float pool nurse. Now we have some people here who works in different capacities. They're med surg nurses, they're ED nurses, tele nurses, cardiovascular nurses. But let's help those who are not necessarily float pool nurses now understand what are really some of the challenges. Let's say, what is a float pool nurse? Let's build the clarity around that. What is a float pool nurse?
A float pool nurse is a nurse that is hired on the float team that is sent to different areas of the hospital. Med surg, tele, ER, ICU, PACU, wherever the fuck they want to send you, they can send you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's what a float pool nurse is.
So you float all throughout the organization, right? So you can be in one area versus, here today, a different area tomorrow. So what do you think are some of the challenges that these float pool nurses face? Because I feel like to be a float pool nurse, that you are highly skilled, resilient type of individuals. But
Okay,
what
but
are some of the things that
I
they
don't want to get in trouble because I think that when you become a float pool nurse, and if you have it, like I know new grads that got hired for the float team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not trying to knock anybody because I think you're an awesome nurse if you're floating to different places. However, if you're a new grad or a young nurse with a year or two experience and you join the float team, you don't have a whole lot of knowledge and skills to be floating to these different areas. So I don't know if they float them to just one unit, med surg unit, and the next day they float them to tele. I don't know how they're doing it anymore, but I don't think that some of them are always highly skilled. Now they may become highly skilled, but you have to tell me out there. I haven't been a float nurse in a long time, so you have to tell me what you're doing and seeing nowadays.
Well, I was just thinking that I think that organizations, when they are hiring float pool nurses, that it's a particular caliber of nurse that they want, right? I don't see a 1 year or 2 year
I do.
nurse
I know.
anyone.
I know many of them. They come through
Mhm.
this my training. Many of them they're a brand new grad that just got hired on the float pool. I know for a fact they are.
Mm. I think, yeah. With me thinking about, I am a big person. I am a big proponent of experience, right? Some people are very huge on education. A lot
Uh,
of organizations now are pushing leadership, and leadership is based upon your education. Well, I might be, some people may agree with me, some may not, but I am a nurse who really believes that the more experience you have allows you to gain more skill, which allows you to critically think through patients better, which can help you make better judgment. Now, I'm not saying that a BSN nurse or a MSN nurse cannot make better judgment because of their level of education, right? But I really feel like the divide is experience, not education. Because what is
well,
sit in a
I'll
classroom if you
I'll
don't
give
know
it.
how to do it?
I'll give an example.
Mhm.
Uh, there's a facility. It's just so fucking Jane won't beat me out and shit.
There
There's
you
a
go.
facility here locally. It is our level one trauma center, but I won't tell you the fucking name of it. There's a unit called the PC. What's it called? The CPU, Cardiac Progressive Care Unit, the CPU
Okay.
unit. I think it is. I don't remember what floor it is, but I know for a fact because I get all their students who come through here. They had a nurse on the floor that was only a nurse for 10 months, already a charge nurse.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that he or she can't make a good charge nurse, but maybe I'm old school. I just don't see how a nurse with 10 months experience who hasn't even had a year of nursing yet to even learn how to be a fucking nurse can be a
Right.
charge nurse.
Yeah, because how do you really, because when you think about leadership, you think about the decisiveness, you think it about being a resource. Because when you get into these levels of management, even being a float nurse, you're really a resource, right? And if you haven't seen the thing, because I think about working in ED in 5 years, you don't even see just a smidget of things, like some of the things that we talk about in the green room. I was like, I've never taken care of that ever before, or I've never pushed that medication ever before. Like, how can they really be true leaders?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying they can't be a leader because you don't have to necessarily know all the stuff to be a good leader, but you have to be smart enough to know who knows and who to go to get the information.
Now,
My
go ahead.
problem is that a nurse, any nurse, it doesn't matter what floor you're working on. Your first year of nursing, you don't learn nursing. You're learning time management, how to keep your fucking head above water. To me,
Exactly.
you don't start learning nursing until year 2. But
Hmm.
that's just my opinion.
No, exactly. So I agree. So if you said 10 months,
Hmm.
if you haven't learned the skill, then how are you leading a group of people? How do you become their resource? How do you be the one that can make good decisions in a crunch situation? Like that comes with experience, skill, your ability to be able to critical think. Critical thinking come by the more time and the more experience you have, right? Because you can't have a novice nurse know how to critically think through some of your most critical patients because they don't have that experience yet.
I, I'm, I get it, but you can ask. You can ask the people here and see if I'm blowing smoke up your
No,
ass.
no, I believe you. It's not to say that you're not telling me the truth. That's not what I'm saying. I'm thinking that it would be, you will hope that the standard is increased when they're putting these people in these different
They don't.
roles.
They don't give a fuck because they just want a warm body to do what they're told to do.
That is just, but that impacts patient care and patient
They
outcomes.
don't give a fuck. They just want a warm body so they don't have to do the work.
Okay. So tell us, what do you feel like are some of the challenges that float nurses face? So even if they're a 10-month experienced nurse, whether they're a 25-year experienced nurse, what do you feel are some of the challenges by being a float nurse, by going through all these different departments? What are some challenges that they must face?
So you want me to give you some pros and cons?
Yeah, let's talk about the cons first. Let's
All
let's
right.
let's get to the cons.
Let me see some of the cons. Let's see. So these are the top 10 cons or disadvantages of being a float pool nurse. You need to be trained in many units,
Mhm.
right? So one of the top disadvantages of being a float pool nurse is that you may have to be trained on multiple specialty units.
Mhm.
You'll need to juggle many certifications, meaning you have to have ACLS, BLS, PALS, NRP, because some people get floated to the neonatal resuscitation, the NICU, the PICU.
Yeah.
You don't always have control over where you're going to go because if you have a boss that doesn't like you, they can float you wherever they want to float you.
True.
Now, I don't know if there's policies because there never was policies before, but I don't know if there's policies that will keep the unit manager or the charge nurse from just floating you wherever they want. But I can't imagine that the administration would allow that because they don't give a shit. I'm just being honest. You will not have any control over your assignments. So again, if you have a charge nurse that doesn't like you, they're going to give you the shittiest assignments. Because when I worked at UMC and I was floated to med surge one time, this is when we would take 17 patients. I would have 3 patients that was way down at the end of the hallway to the left, and the rest of mine was down the other end of the hallway on the right. So I would literally have to walk from one end of the hallway to the other, taking care of my patients. Now,
Wow.
how the fuck am I going to hear my other patients crying and shit if I'm on each end of the hallway?
Right.
So, that's I can't imagine that don't still happen.
Right.
You will have to learn many different protocols and procedures because I talk about this all the time: policy and procedure. Each unit has their own policy.
Mm.
So, I did ask our friend Jacqueline Ramos a question, but she gave me an answer. I don't know if it's really true or not. Not that I don't believe her, but I don't fucking believe.
Wow, Kevin.
Well, I'm
She
waiting
is
for.
such a great
I
resource,
know
such
I
a
love her. I
skilled
love her too,
woman.
but I want to see the fucking policy myself because I want to read that shit. She said they use normal saline for blood products always, but I know for a fact there's several labor and delivery units here in the valley that their policy specifically says lactated ringers.
Okay.
So I want to read the policy. Like I want to
Mm-hmm.
see it and read it for myself.
Mm.
She did say that they hang LR other times like for full bolus for epidurals, things like that. But I would like to see it because I know that there is a difference between a unit policy and a house policy. Do you know the difference? Do you know the difference?
Well, there can probably be things that this is what the house does, but depending upon the specialty area, that they may do things a little bit differently within that area. So there's different protocols that may
Right. See what I
happen
mean? But most
within a.
nurses aren't. Yeah, but most nurses aren't aware of that they have unit policies. So
Oh, they should. I mean,
I
well, I don't know.
they don't
I
read
don't
the
know.
fucking policy. So all
Yeah.
right. So it says you will need to become specialized. Oh, sorry. I don't agree with this shit. It says you will not become specialized in a specific area. I disagree. You should be specialized in all the fucking areas if you're going to be a float nurse.
Right. So do you think what type of nurses do you
Wait, hold on, hold
feel?
on, hold on. Let me
Oh,
go
I'm
back because
sorry.
he just responded back. She says, "When I left the ER, yes, and I left in 2005. I skimmed the policy the other day." So I want to read. I want to read that fucking policy, Jacqueline. Thank you. All right, so
Send it to me via email. No.
right. It says you will. Let's see. It says, and I don't know if I agree with this one. It says you will not make meaningful relationships with other staff. I don't know if that's fucking true or not. Because when I was a float nurse, everybody loved my ass.
You
Why?
think so?
I know they did. Well, not everybody. I'm sure some people hated me and shit. But you either hate me or you love me. There's no fucking in between.
No shades of gray.
No shades of gray. But why did most people love me?
Was it maybe because your personality or your ability to be able to do your job well?
Yeah. I mean,
You were competent.
I was competent and confident. I was personable. I'd help your ass. You know, I didn't let you struggle and shit. Now I wouldn't fucking do your work for you, but I wouldn't let you struggle either. So
Right.
I don't know about meaningful relation. I don't think, and I get in trouble with this all the time, mostly with women, but I don't think we make meaningful relationships with our coworkers ever.
Hmm.
There may be occasional. I know what you're saying. Like you say, oh yeah, we're friends. No, you're not. If you fucking die tomorrow, nobody show up to your motherfucking funeral. And I got proof of that. So I don't think we may talk friendly at work and we may go hang out sometimes after work. But if you were on the road somewhere where you needed money or somebody needed to come pick you up, or I don't think anybody would help your ass out. And
Really?
I don't mean you personally. I just think most of us and stuff. So
Yeah, I didn't think that you were talking about me
yeah.
personally. I think you were
So
you were talking to the audience.
I don't know. I just don't. I think we're full of shit when we talk about that.
Yeah. I
Not
think
no.
sometimes
Go
people
ahead.
make real meaningful relationships that turn into friendships and
At work,
sisterhoods or brotherhoods.
at
After
work.
working with individuals for a period of time, I believe you make those.
I
No?
know for a fact that there's a lady who passed away recently. She was a nurse, and everybody said the same thing. How old she's so wonderful. We love her. She's our best friend. How many bitches showed up to her funeral?
That I don't know, but yeah, I think
Three.
it's so many
Look at
different
me.
three. Well, maybe those are the most top three that she was connected with that she
I
decided
was
to build
I
a
was
relationship
I
with.
was one of them, and I was even close to her.
Okay, well, you felt some type of connection.
Yeah, I liked her. She was a nice lady. I mean, every time I met her, she made the room glow. But
Nice.
but it's not like she always called me and asked me for shit.
Yeah. Did she?
So
Yeah. Did she
do
come to your
you?
classes and connect with you?
Yeah,
Was
and
she
I
a nice
worked with her. I
person?
worked with her too. But you tell me, do you have any meaningful relationships with people that you work with outside of work? Don't fucking lie.
Personal.
Tell the truth.
I
If
have
if
a
you were on the road, side of the road tomorrow, and your car broke down, and you need $1,000 to get that motherfucker towed, that's a meaningful relationship. How many of these bitches would show up and give you $1,000 to have your ass towed?
so for me, I'm not a woman who's interested in like quantity of how many, but the idea
Whatever.
of having like
That's
one or two
that's
meaningful relationships,
That's
then
pie
those
in
are
the
key.
sky. That's pie in the sky
No,
dreaming. How
no.
many of those bitches would show up to help your ass?
Well, I mean, I know I have a good solid two, but here's the thing is that I
Did you meet
haven't
them at work?
intentionally I met them either working with them in some
Did you meet them
capacity,
in the hospital working?
not necessarily in a hospital, but in a working relationship. I have met them and it has grown. And
See,
I feel like
you're like
that
every other woman trying. You like to turn that shit around.
I'm not turning it around.
Yes, it
I'm just
is.
saying it
Call
is
them.
true.
I am calling. Book. Let me get
No,
my
but for
fucking pen.
me, I'm not
Mm.
interested in having 1,000 women in my
I
corner.
got you. I'm not
I just
talking
need
about.
one. The idea is just one.
Mm, right here.
And see, for that person that you were talking about,
Can
you
you
just
see
needed
that one?
one. I
What the fuck does
see
that say?
it, Kevin. um, so
That
with
way
that,
Jane can't bleep me out.
right? But that's
Oh,
just for me, and that may just be what it is. Is that sometimes people don't go to work to find relationships. Like I don't go to work to look for my best friend.
I got you. But that's
But
why.
but I think you still can meet some meaningful people along the way.
How about this one? The next one says not knowing where everything is on the unit.
I
A
think that
float,
would be huge, right?
a float pool nurse, you may not know where everything is on the unit you're working on. This includes supplies. We talked about this earlier because I'm on a mission for this. The crash cart.
Right.
linens, things like that. So that can be challenging, and
Mm-hmm.
it can make you look like you don't know what you're doing, even though
Yeah.
you're not.
It make you look
It's
like a DTD, but you really
make you
ain't a
look
DTD.
right.
Right.
It
Okay.
hard. It's hard to form patience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. It says it's hard to form patient relationships because one day because some people spend 3 or 4 or 5, 6 days in the hospital. You may be taking care of them one day, the next day you may be on another unit. So
Yeah.
people don't know
That's
why
true.
you're floating around. Maybe
Right.
they think you're a DTD because you float to too many units and shit.
Right. Absolutely. So thinking about that, so those were some of the challenges that float nurses, or some of the common challenges that we can come up with that some float nurses may face. Let me ask you this. Who do you feel, what type of nurse do you feel is the ideal float nurse? Like for me, I feel like who would make a real good float nurse is like an ER nurse or an ICU nurse. I know I may seem so biased because I was an ER nurse, but I really feel people told me right out of school to not go and specialize in a particular area, right? They told me go start with med surge and not go to ER. But I'm so grateful that I went to ED, because in the ED, I felt like I seen tons of disease processes. I seen what it was like when they were at some of their most vulnerable times, when they were on the brink of life, and the measures that we took to turn them around. And then it also helped me as a nurse to move with a sense of urgency that I see sometimes that people don't have, or we kind of take advantage of that thing of time, and we don't move fast enough, we don't use our critical thinking quick enough to intervene for our patients. So I feel like an ED nurse or an ICU nurse makes a really good float nurse. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay,
And
tell
the
me why.
reason why, I say that is because I always tell new grads don't start in the ED right out of school, just like you
Mm-hmm.
did. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not because you're not smart enough. It's just I've seen from my personal experience, just my personal experience, people who go from school straight to ED, they get bit by the adrenaline bug. And then once you learn how to run fast pace and you can critical think and you can do all that shit, then you go to another floor where it's not fast paced and you're bored as shit.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's hard. Like it's hard. It's a hard transition. I'm not saying everybody can't do it, but it's very hard to transition.
Mm-hmm.
I tell new grads, if you want that critical care training, you want that. I would rather you go to ICU first and then go to other places. Because if you're
Mm-hmm.
an ICU nurse, you get that critical care thinking skill set, and that you can float. That's why they make ER nurses and ICU nurses probably make the best rapid response nurses
Mm-hmm.
because they're used to the fast pace, they're used to the adrenaline, they're not scared, they don't get, they're confident. Sometimes though, it can bring you to have overconfidence though. You get too cocky and shit, and you miss shit. So
Mm-hmm.
I just think that I don't think nurses have to go to. Lupita Gill said I started med surge, and as much as I didn't like it, I learned structure and organization. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that totally because I think if a lot of ER nurses go to the med surge, Lupita, I think they would suck ass because it's a different style of nursing. I'm not saying you can't take care of 5 or 6 patients on med surg and tele, but a lot of those patients want to be talked to, and ER nurses don't want to talk to their patients. ICU nurses don't want to talk to their patients. They want to stab you with the needle, draw your blood, and get the fuck on. I don't think we have the bedside manner sometimes that we need. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So we just want to get the hell in, fix the shit, and get the hell out.
Right.
And I think he can come back to bite you in the ass. So does that make sense?
Yeah, that
But
makes sense. But
I just think that, and that's my point about float nursing though. If you're gonna float to ER, ICU, and all these other different areas, do you have the competency training to float to these different areas?
mm-hmm.
Like, how many of you have been a float nurse out there? If you've been a float nurse, tell me, do you get any kind of specialty training in the different areas you go to? And if so, how long? Because, I had a nurse came to my class not too long ago. She said she had a nurse on the floor who documented, are you ready for this? I'm glad you're fucking sitting down. She documented all night long that the patient had a Glasgow of 7. And what did she do about it, Starshema?
She just let him rest.
She let them rest. She said, "Oh, I just thought they were sleeping." So I'm like, "Holy fucking shit!" So do you want that nurse being a float nurse?
Well, no, if you can't do a basic GCS and then not know what the basic
Okay,
intervention is for a
okay, but
person who's
don't be.
altered.
So see, I don't get mad at nurses. I would have asked that nurse, "Do you understand what a Glasgow coma scale is?" Because you're assuming that she was taught what GCS means. You're laughing, but I'm just being honest with you. There's a lot of nurses who are lacking in education because the education system has failed them.
Mm.
It's like kids going to first through seventh grade, and we don't want our numbers to look bad, so we shove them through so our numbers look good, and they're still a deep when they graduate. They can't add 2 plus 2. And I'm sure
But
nurses are the same fucking way. Don't laugh. I'm sure nurses are the same way. Look at all those nurses in Florida
hmm
that passed the NCLEX, even though they didn't go to a real school, and now they're getting their license taken away. Do you remember that story we talked
I
about?
remember that. I remember that
So
story.
what does that say about the NCLEX?
Um, it could it could be
I'm
a
just
number of different things that we can say
Anybody
about
can
it.
anybody can pass a motherfucking test.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what does that say about the test? I'm
That
not
is
saying make the test hard so people fail it, but I think we should make it more of a critical thinking kind. Like I ask this in my class all the time, the nurses I teach. What does it mean to use your critical thinking skills? You, as a nurse educator, never teach people what critical thinking skill is, do you?
as a nurse educator, I do.
What is a critical thinking skill?
A critical thinking skill like the ability to be able to listen attentively, right? Communicate well, written, oral,
Your
good.
students have no idea what you just fucking said.
Why
You
they
got
don't?
because you got to bring it down and talk to them like a kindergartner because nobody teaches you what it means to have a critical thinking skill though. People tell you what to do and how to use it, but they never tell you what it is. And if you
Mhm.
don't even know what it is, how the fuck you gonna use it?
Well, critical thinking, I feel like it's a term that's used so much that
To make you look good and feel good.
well, to make you look good and feel good, or also to make you put this expectation on you. But really, your ability to be able to critically think comes
Pe-
with
People don't know.
experience,
Nope,
skill.
no, it doesn't.
Because
If
how can
you,
you critically
I'm,
think through a
I'm gonna,
person?
I'm gonna teach you. Watch this. This is what I do to teach a critical thinking skill. You're a
Mm-hmm.
med surg nurse. Oh, Lupita, you're a med surg nurse on med surg floor. You walk into your patient's room. Your patient's respiratory rate is 4, and
Mm-hmm.
their O2 sat is 92%.
Right.
Don't answer this, Starshema. Don't answer.
Okay.
Your respiratory rate is 4, and your O2 sat is 92%. What's the first thing you want to do? And then so I let people think, and they start giving me their answers. And I never say, no, that's wrong. I never say that. I'm like, if they give me a wrong answer, I'm like, yeah, that's not a bad answer. It's not the most correct answer, but that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think the number one answer is most nurses say to do in that situation?
Put oxygen on.
Right. And so then instead of saying that's a terrible answer, I'm like, that's not bad. Oxygen's not going to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
However, what is oxygen going to do for their respiration?
Right. They got a respiratory rate of 4.
Right. But see, I don't say that. I just ask
Uh-huh.
Starshema, what
Right.
is oxygen? What is it going to do for your respiratory rate?
I mean, I don't know what they would say because I don't
They
think
s-
oxygen would be the first thing.
they say it's going to increase it. And I
But
said, I know that, but they don't know that because they haven't been taught this.
right.
And I said, oxygen doesn't do shit for your respiratory rate. How do
Mm-hmm.
you get somebody's respiratory rate up? Oxygen is going to increase their O2 set, but it's not going to increase their respiratory rate. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you get their fucking respiratory rate to go higher?
Well, why don't you breathe for them then? No, I'm
But they
just
don't
kidding.
know that. Yeah, but they don't understand that because if you work on
Wake them
MedSearch
up.
Telly,
Hmm.
say it again. Say that last part again.
What? Wake them up?
Yeah, when people say that, I'm like, yeah, hit them in the head and make them have pain. See,
Hmm.
that's right, Lupita. That's right. See, but what did Lupita just say? See that shit?
Try
What
to
did she
wake
just
them up. If not, give
and
them
see
oxygen.
that shit? So Lupita, what the fuck does oxygen gonna do for your respiratory rate? And so that's why I go through these skills. And then once we finish and get to the right answer, I say that is using your critical thinking skills.
Right.
That is
But
what they're trying to get you to do in nursing school. They just don't teach you how to do it. They won't let you walk through these scenarios and give you the safety and comfort of being wrong and not
Mhm.
scolding you for being wrong.
Right. I think that also comes back, a lot to Lupita said nothing. I
Then why the
love
fuck
it.
Then why the fuck did you put them on oxygen, Lupita? But it took me a long time because where are the ambu bags on med surg and tele?
At the crash cart at the nurse's
And
station.
what's at every fucking bedside?
Oxygen, at least
See?
a
Right?
tree.
No, but there's nasal cannulas and the
Mhm.
100% not. But that's we're teaching nurses to put on oxygen though.
Right.
Why
No,
don't we
I
have
agree with you.
why don't we have fucking ambu bags at every bedside?
Right. And I think that, the thing is, and I can't speak for every nursing educator, but for me as a nursing educator, when I'm teaching my students, and I don't expect my beginning student to be able to critically think through even something like this, because this is introductory to them. But I think what is also important to help you be able to critically think is to be able to read and comprehend and listen and be able to connect the dots together. It's
What
so many times that people can't put the puzzle together. And I think it goes back to that pathophysiology. Like, hey, I got a respiratory rate of 4. Like, what's going on with the patient? Yeah, their sats on the monitor says 92. What should I do? Like, what is that first thing that I should do? And I almost feel like ED taught me those kind of things. And I see sometimes that I bring that into the classroom of that expectation, because your ability to intervene quickly is can
key?
save a person's life,
Then
right? You
why
know what I mean?
why don't we have fucking ambu bags on the fucking floor?
Well, they should. I don't know. I can't speak to that. I
Okay,
can't
so
answer that for you.
but then I tell the nurse if your ambu bag is down the hallway on the fucking crash cart, then what can you do to increase the respiratory rate till somebody gets there to help you, dumbass?
Well, what would you do, Kevin? Give
I'd
them mouth
fucking
to mouth?
no, I'd stimulate them just like you said. I'd do a
Rub
jaw
that.
thrust.
Do you do
Now
sternal
I
rubs?
don't do sternal rubs. I think it's a terrible thing we taught people.
Okay, so how do you do? What do you do?
I do a jaw thrust because if
A
you do
jaw
a jaw
thrust?
thrust, that will cause severe pain.
Hmm.
And if the patient doesn't move or wake up and start breathing, you know you're in trouble.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that is the same thing as repositioning the airway.
Airway. Right. So it's opening up a little bit.
Yeah.
So if they are
Yeah, but
with
have you
at
done a
least with
jaw
foot,
thrust?
I have done a
Right.
jaw
And
thrust.
what happens when you do it?
They
What
could
does the
they
patient do?
depends. My particular patient, they didn't
Yeah.
do nothing.
Well, then what did that mean? You knew that bad shit was about to happen, right?
It was about to go
Yeah, but
down and real quick.
that tells you everything you need to know, though. See, that's my point. But
I
why
mean, that
won't
was
most
insane.
now the reason why I don't teach sternal rubs is this. So in the old days when we first started a long time ago, I'm not joking either. For all of you out there, I'm not trying to make light of this, but we did not have fucking Me Too movement. We used to do titty twisters on patients.
Oh wow.
I'm not joking. We'd take your nipple, pinch it, and twist it to see if we cause you pain. So why did
Mm.
we stop doing titty twisters?
Was that movement you just talked about?
No,
I don't
we
know.
didn't have no fucking Me Too movements back then. We did it because people would do it so hard they would rip off nipples.
Oh my goodness, that's
So
ridiculous.
I know that. So we stopped doing it and we moved to sternal rubs. But I don't teach sternal rubs because the same thing. People do it so hard they break people's ribs or they break like old people are very fragile, so they rip off their skin. So I don't
Yeah,
teach that. I think it's a terrible thing to do. I don't know why we don't just teach people to take your, do the nails,
I
do the nail
remember. Yeah.
beds. Yeah, that shit hurts. Do a jaw thrust.
Hmm.
There's
They
other
said
things.
now they're grabbing the patient and pinching them,
Yeah,
kind of.
that doesn't do shit. There's a lot of people you can pinch the shit out of their muscles and they don't do anything. So I don't.
Hmm.
To me, that's a terrible thing too, because everybody has a high tolerance for pain. But I can tell you, no matter how high your pain tolerance is, not very many people can withstand your fingernail beds being smashed or your jaw thrust being lifted.
That's true. It's very
So those two things, I think, will always tell you what you need to know.
Yeah. In the times that I've done jaw thrusts, I can honestly say I didn't get any pushback from the patient.
Oh, well, were you doing it correctly?
I think the patient was just,
About to see
knock.
Jesus?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
He or she was
All right.
knocking on the door, with that. So yeah. So now we talked about the kind of nursing that really sets up to be a good float nurse. What do you think are some of the benefits for that nurse who makes a good float nurse? What are some of the benefits of being in the role of a float nurse?
So this is the information I looked up. You got a more flexible schedule.
Hmm.
You can probably get paid more because as a float nurse, you get some hospitals will pay you like an extra differential for being a float nurse. Plus, if you do nights, you get differentials, weekends. Um, sometimes you can, well, you can always find a damn job because now you're gonna have more skills because you have different, skill set than just being a med surg nurse or just being a ICU nurse or like that. So you have different skill sets. If you have a bad day on a certain unit, you can tell them to piss off, and you don't have to go back to that unit for a while. That's one good thing.
Yeah.
You can be called a jack of all trades. My favorite is you don't have to worry about the fucking unit politics. You don't have to go to the unit meetings. You can just go in, do your job, and get the fuck on. So I like that.
Nice.
You won't get bored. You don't get bored because you get a little bit of everything. You learn new shit. You believe it or not, you have a decrease in burnout because you don't have to stay in one place putting up with the same fucking people every day. So
Right.
that's a benefit right there. So
Absolutely. You know what? I hear this all the time about a jack of all trades and a master of none. And we typically stop there, right? It says a jack of all trades and a master of none, but
mhm.
oftentimes better than a master of one.
Yeah, I get that.
Like sometimes we don't finish that complete quote. And I'm not saying that you said anything wrong, but it's been something that I've used. If people have said, like, hey, you're a jack of all trades because I do this and I do that, but they never say, but oftentimes it's better than a master of one. So I just wanted to add that context to it. Those are some great benefits there, though. I
Wait,
really like that.
say it one more time.
But it says a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
So what?
So,
So I don't know if I truly agree with that in regards to nursing because what if I am a float nurse for
mhm,
5 or 10 years?
mhm,
What if I'm a float nurse for 5 or 10 years? What does that tell me? Because remember my 10,000 hour rule.
right.
So
So it's good.
what if I'm a float nurse for 5 to 10 years and I floated to all these different places though? Could I not be
Hmm.
considered could I not be considered a expert in all these areas?
But are you a master?
What
Is
is
an
the
expert
difference? Oh,
is
I'm
an
sorry.
expert or a master the
All
same
right, so
thing?
yeah, but will you ever be a true master in medicine?
No, because it's
Expert,
always ever changing.
expert versus master. So master means to acquire complete knowledge or skill in a subject, technique, or art.
Hmm.
Expert is having or involving a great deal of knowledge or skill in a particular. So to
Right.
me, in medicine, would anybody ever be a master of medicine?
Probably no. It's ever evolving.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's unachievable.
Yeah. So that's what they're saying is better to have basically be a master of none. So
Hmm.
but you can be an expert but not a
Right?
master,
Yeah.
right?
I don't.
Than to have stop and possibly and be tried to master one thing, which is like we're saying that in because of the nature of healthcare, it is never mastered because we are always changing, evolving
Yeah,
over
because
time.
I don't think
Yeah.
anybody will ever be a Buddha of nursing.
Yeah. I mean,
Nobody will.
hey, all
Nobody
things
will
are
ever
possible.
assume.
All things are possible.
No
I
one
see
will
Kevin.
ever. even even Kevin will never be a master of medicine. Even
Okay.
though I strive, there's
You
no
strive.
way.
Yeah. But you're an expert, huh?
I'm an expert.
Nice. See?
Not at all nursing though. I'm only
Nice.
an
Right.
expert. I'm only an expert in what I know, but
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in every field of nursing. That's impossible.
Absolutely.
I'm
I
not
agree
in.
with you.
I'm not infection control nurse. I'm not a dialysis nurse. I mean, I'm.
Well, you should be an expert in infection control because one of our jobs is to prevent and control the spread of infection as
I don't. I
nurses.
wouldn't say I'm an expert. I think I'm pretty good at, it, but I wouldn't call myself an expert.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Because I mean,
So, go ahead.
infection control nurse has a lot higher specialty. They do shit that you and I have never even thought about.
Yeah, like analyzing data, looking at
Yeah, they do that.
trends.
Yeah, I do. I think, and not just that, but they look at all the different diseases, the way it's spread, how it's
Mhm.
spread. If you go and ask a general nurse a general question about a certain type of disease and say, "Is this contact precaution or airborne precaution?" I think most nurses wouldn't know.
Ooh, like they wouldn't know where to put their C. diff patient. No,
I
just
don't think
kidding.
so. No, but I'm being honest. I
They
don't
don't know
think
the
it.
difference. Go ahead.
No, like if you said somebody had tuberculosis? Contact or airborne precaution?
Is airborne. Airborne. What goes in airborne isolations?
I
Particles.
how about shingles?
Shingle goes in airborne as well.
Yeah, but how many would say that?
I don't know. It's about the size of the virus of the
It doesn't matter.
bacteria,
I
five
don't exact.
microns.
That's why I think most people wouldn't know that. I don't think most nurses would. I could be wrong, but I just maybe you should do a poll. The hard part with poll is the hard part. The hard part is I don't think people would cheat and shit.
Yeah. Okay.
So
But I'm just
Jacqueline's
saying.
Jacqueline's busting my balls. Thank you, Jacqueline, for busting my balls. I love you.
What did she say? She sent you the policy?
No, she didn't send me the policy. But just so you know, Jacqueline, we're on air live right now talking shit.
What was I gonna say? But Kevin, when it goes back to polls, I don't know if I should put a poll up because if you all remember, Kevin challenged me to put a poll up to see if you all would be interested in hiring him to help you grow your business.
Yeah, but I think the
He
poll
told
is
me
skewed.
no. The thing is that it was delivered because you wanted more specific data and you all answered the poll and Kevin never paid out. He never paid out, y'all.
I'm calling the poll bullshit.
No.
I don't remember what I offered. What did I say? What was
you never told me what you were going to give me once I put that poll up.
Yeah, but I think
I feel some kind of way.
I'll give you something. I'll fucking pay you something. I still think the poll is bullshit. Because if you would have said, Lupita, would you be willing to pay Kevin $1,000 an hour to mentor you? I can almost guarantee the poll would like, fuck Kevin and his $1,000.
Well, it depends on what you're mentoring about. People pay to collapse time.
Okay. No matter what the fuck Kevin is mentoring about, would you pay him $1,000 an hour?
Well, Kevin, I don't think that would be a good logic.
See, what did Lupita see? I told you.
Well, Lupita, though, here's the thing, Lupita. Thank you for being here. So listen, if Kevin could give you a solution to a problem that you're having, that he can work with you for 3 hours.
You better be honest,
and
Lupita.
with him fixing that problem for you. So 3 hours at $1,000 an hour, that's $3,000. And you have the potential to 3-fold or 4-fold that investment. Would you make the investment?
Don't fucking lie, Lupita. Be honest. I'll wait for you, Lupita. Don't worry.
I know we're waiting for Lupita. I'm sitting here watching the chat like, Lupita, drop that answer, girlfriend.
I already know the answer.
She said, it says, if it was to increase my knowledge and make me money, then yes. Bam. Bam.
I still don't believe it. I love you, Lupita, but I still don't believe it.
See, you can't. So here's the thing. I was just having a conversation in my community last night. Like when we are growing these businesses, I know we just digress from float nurses to talking about business, something I'm absolutely passionate about. But so when we are having these businesses, we can't project our mindsets into our potential clients.
I don't project it. I just know customers because remember I told you this already. I do stuff that I do work that I don't always teach, and I do mentorship. I go out to the community and I have a specialty skill that I use, and people bitch that I charge them $100 an hour, Starshema.
Then they're not your people. Why are you settling for people who are not
I'm not
people?
settling. I just tell them that's what I charge, and they get mad and stomp away. I just know what people, I know people.
Right.
And I know people are fucking cheap and they don't want to spend the money because they don't see the benefit in it. That's the problem.
Okay, look how you just put Lupita in the box, and Lupita told you yes.
I didn't put Lupita in the box.
You just put her in that box with the people, and she just told you I'm not in that box, Kevin.
Lupita, don't listen to Starshema. I didn't put you.
You just put Lupita in that box, and she said, "Kevin, I'm gonna pay you if it's gonna do this and this for me. I'm gonna pay you." Okay, Kate settled. Thank you, Lupita. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. You're such a magical nurse.
Fuck a woman helping another woman. Shit, the hell with you, Lupita. Go get your damn husband. Go get your husband and ask him, Lupita.
We help, and I bet you he'll say the same thing. This is growth mindset.
No, because I know both of them, and I know them already, so they don't need that.
So now you're talking out of what you feel like you know about Lupita and her husband to talk yourself out of some money. Lupita, when you see him again, your girlfriend, just let him know. Just let him know. All right. Anyhow, all right, we digress way on talking about business. I just love it. I'm so passionate about business and growing business and seeing nurses grow and thrive, and also us really walking in our worth. Like for so long in our careers and our profession, to provide care, they say, hey, you provide care for this cost, right? But you can also drive major impact in the world and pick your own prices. And guess
Mm-hmm.
what? People are going to pay you to do it. Okay. I just love
Mm-hmm.
it. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me, Kevin. Uh, watch y'all. I'm gonna get Kevin into my program before 2023 is out.
I'm not
Y'all
being a
watch
no.
that.
I'm not being a no
That
program.
okay. That's what he's saying right now, y'all. But once I show him how to no, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with Kevin. All right. So Kevin, let's look at the impact of float nurses on patient care.
I
Is it a
just
good
think
thing or
that
is it a bad thing?
it can be both. I think if you're a float nurse and you take the time to improve your skills, you learn your competencies on each floor and you learn them well, I think you can be an awesome nurse for you
Mhm.
and the patient.
Yeah.
However, if you just go and you kind of just struggle along from floor to floor and you don't really put your heart into learning on each floor, I think you're going to be a shitty nurse. I think it's up to
Mm.
you. You can be both.
So you get to decide. Yeah.
Yeah, you're the decider. You are the decider.
You are the
So
decider.
I do.
One thing that I learned in nursing school, I agree, you are the decider. One thing that my educators, and it was one in particular, and for the sake of her privacy, I'm not going to say her name on live so I don't get bleeped out by Jane because I don't like to get bleeped. I just keep everything kosher.
I just tell fucking I just tell Jane, don't fucking beat me, Jane. I'll
But
fly
one
to the Philippines and beat your ass.
right. One thing that they taught me in the context of saying it can be a good thing or a bad thing, and you get to decide, is that when we make this decision to become nurses, we really make that full commitment to become continuous learners, right? And we make that commitment to learn all we can learn and be the very best at what we choose to be the very best at, right? And I think sometimes, I don't know why, I don't know where we've lost it, that I feel like the goal is just to get to to be the nurse, and then after you become the nurse, it's just like, oh.
You
But
just
that's
stop.
when the things just start, right? Like that's really, now I've got the degree, I passed the NCLEX. Now what, right? This is when the real work start. This is when you really start honing in on your craft, learning all you can learn, becoming the expert on your with your reach to become masterful in a thing, right, within your healthcare profession. It's like that's when it really gets started. And you get to decide. I agree with Kevin, is that you get to decide what kind of nurse you want to be. And it's all dependent upon how much you choose to invest in this thing that you really want. So
But
after you get it, now what?
I think it starts in nursing school. I don't think the nurses in nursing school mentor their students on that topic. I think they're there, they teach them to how to be the nurse, but then it stops. We don't have any kind of program to be a mentor to say, hey, just because you fucking became a nurse, you can't stop now because this is a lifetime career and you got to learn to hone your craft. You got to learn to become an expert. You have to take it upon yourself to go through some education and training beyond nursing school to become an expert.
Mm-hmm.
Sit on committees.
Mm-hmm.
How many people like to sit on committees and learn?
I mean, because I was like, I ain't leveling up because
See,
I ain't going to nobody's committee.
I see. So I know, but I'm just being honest. And see, so if you're not willing to sit on committees, or you're not willing to do some research projects, you're not willing to go take classes to improve your nursing process. How are you going to become that expert?
You're not. So
So
you got to
then,
know what your own individual goals are. Yeah, I
right.
agree.
But
Yeah.
I don't think we have a mentorship program. I learned this. Most people who are managers,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have any training on how to be a manager. Most
Ooh.
people who are preceptors, we send them to that preceptors class, but how well is that preceptor class? Have you been to the preceptor class?
I have been to a preceptor
Right. And
class.
how was it? Be honest.
It was okay.
Wait, hold on. It says I don't know who the Facebook user is because nobody knows how to put their name on there. I thank you, Facebook user, but I don't know your name because it just says Facebook user. I think as instructors, we can hope we can we can to inspire them to go beyond their school. I don't want to hope. I'm going to inspire your ass. I'm either going to inspire you or I'll drag you fucking along.
I
I
think that, Kevin, when you speak about instructors, though, I think for me, I agree that I know you shared over a period of time of like the instructors that are there, they're typically older nurses, more seasoned nurses. And with that, they typically teach task based things versus evidence based things. That's pretty much your stance, right?
still believe that. I still
I
stand
know
by
you
that
believe,
shit.
yeah, absolutely. I believe you do. But I think that there's a new era of nurse instructors that are coming in that are trying to
I
change that
haven't seen it
trajectory.
yet. I haven't fucking
Oh,
seen it yet.
do you doubt me? Do you
Mm-hmm.
not believe that I am an
Nope.
inspirational instructor?
I didn't say you weren't inspirational.
I said, do you doubt me?
I don't doubt you,
I'm an
but
instructor.
I doubt that we have ushered in a new era. That's what I doubt.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we're working on that. It's coming in.
I hope
Jacqueline
we're
says
working on it.
new preceptors don't know the difference between preventing travelers and new grads.
Hold on, let me go back and see what this
So two
says here.
completely different things, but
What do
aren't
you see
taught
there?
to each of
New
them
pre.
differently.
Oh, are you listening to
Oh,
me,
that's
Jacqueline? We
Steven.
talking shit about you?
That's
Okay.
Steven. I think he
New.
in
Is he still in Jacqueline's Facebook
I
page?
guess
So
so.
I just put in the comments too. I put in a nurse survey, so you can. It's a survey by Johnson and Johnson that all nursing students and nurses can take. Nurses that can take precepting, not but there's a survey that all students and nurses can take to see what their passion is that they would be best at.
Hmm.
All right, so let me go back. New preceptors don't know the difference between
Precepting.
precepting travelers and new grads. There should be no difference, Stephen. When you precept, your job is to teach nurses how to work in your organization and to make sure that they know how to be a nurse. I think that's the problem is, and that's just what the studies are showing that the preceptors classes aren't what they should be. Does that make sense? So we need to change how we precept our nurses. Like I'll pick on you, Stephen. I know you've been nursing a little bit, but how long did they promise you that they would give you training before they threw you out on your own? That's what I'd like to know. Because I think that most hospitals say they're going to give their nurses 12, 16 weeks, and they wind up giving them 12 or 16 hours or maybe 2 or 3 days. And then they say, get the fuck on. I'm just being honest
Well,
because that's
hopefully
what
they
I
don't do that
see.
to new grads. I see that happen a lot to
Wait, see.
travel
Ooh,
nurses.
my, that is so true. You have to have the right personality to train others. My name is Anna. Thank you, Anna. Thank you. I just saw that. Sorry, Anna. How come you don't have your name up there, Anna? Why does it say Facebook user?
Just to give StreamYard permission.
Yeah, Anna,
There she
Kevin. I
go.
love you. I love you, Anna. Oh, yeah, that's good. Thank you, Anna. Now I can see you. Well, I don't know if I'm right, but I just think that we need to, most managers, like I ask managers this, Anna, when you become a manager, do they give you any education on how to be a manager? Do they give you any training on how to do the budgeting? Do they teach you how to run a unit? And the answer is no. They just hope that you can figure that shit out. So not only are you being a manager, you're having to figure shit out as you go, and that's just counterintuitive to me. You're going to be a terrible. It's gonna turn out terribly. That's what I can say.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we don't invest in education and nursing. Why are the hospitals so afraid to invest in us?
Mm.
That's what you should be asking.
Well, maybe that's another episode that we should talk about. Put that on your list.
Yeah, but you think about this. We talked about this with the good nurse. All those hospitals that he killed people at, nobody in administration got in trouble. It's always the fucking nurse that get in trouble.
True.
What about the administration that hired these motherfuckers who
Well,
didn't do their due diligence to have competent, sane nursing staff?
mhm. I think the thing is that, and I hate to say this like this, but I think organizations employ people in these leadership roles. I know it looks like it's here to protect us as the nurses, but sometimes I think it's there to protect the organization.
Oh, so Anna says, all I know is that my first manager, I don't know what that means, perpetuated, eating me as a new grad, and I'm passionate about training my. Yeah, that's true. And how
Hmm.
long ago was this, Anna? How long ago did she train you to eat? How long ago did she eat your ass? And I don't mean that in a bad way, Anna. Because I still tell people that. I still say that we have a lot of older nurses out there eating their young.
20
2015. See, that's not that long ago.
No, it was not.
So, so I'm just saying it's only like 5 or 6 years ago. We still, because this is the dynamics of nursing, Starshima, which I don't think you realize. Nursing is a bunch of old ass motherfuckers like me and a bunch of young nurses that are like maybe 1 or 2 years, and
Mm-hmm.
very few of you stuck in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Because how long have you been a nurse?
Uh,
10 or 12
10,
years.
between 10
You
and 12. Yeah.
right. Your generation of nursing
Mm-hmm.
graduated around 2008ish.
Mm-hmm.
You're the ones that were supposed to come out and take over so we could fucking die and retire. But my age group couldn't die and retire because the 2008 financial collapse, we lost our shirts and
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't retire. So you couldn't even get a job right out of school. You had to fight for a fucking job and shit. Your age group of nurses.
Okay.
Now that you're in nursing, you're looking at my side at the old people going, man, I wish you'd fucking retire, Granny. And then you're looking at the new side saying, man, you're a bunch of dumb motherfuckers. And you're stuck in the middle of this conundrum of nursing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying they're dumb, but that's how sometimes we look at them and we shouldn't.
Hmm.
You're in the same boat as Starshema, Anna, 8 to 10 years, in between 8 year nurse and 15-year nurse, maybe 14-year nurse. That's when y'all all graduated in that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
No, we need you to train the nervous ones with what
The new
I don't.
nurses with us.
Yeah, I would train new nurses, but you might not like the way I train them because I make them do the work. Like I make them critically think. I make them do the work. I teach a bunch of LVNs here, and I get the same question every time. Why do I need a fucking drug book? Because you're a fucking nurse and you give drugs. Why don't you look the shit up? Well,
But also have, go ahead.
we have pharmacy. I'm like, why would you rely on pharmacy? Pharmacies are people. They make mistakes. Why don't you look the shit up yourself and learn the shit yourself before you go ask pharmacy to make sure that they're telling you the right information?
Right. And this may be a topic for another podcast, but do you feel like the time that we're in today, meaning tech, meaning expectation, meaning that some feel more privileged than others,
Wait, say that again. Say it one more time.
like the time, like you think about like, oh, why do I need a drug book? I almost feel like where the world is today, we are such a microwave society that
A lot of
people
the
don't
younger
feel,
nurses feel entitled.
they feel entitled,
But
and
why?
that they don't need to.
Who taught them that entitlement?
I feel like it's a societal standard at the moment. They're different generations and they feel
Society
entitled.
Society didn't. Well, I mean, society might have taught them that, but why didn't we break that shit in nursing school? Why didn't you or Anna, as nursing instructors, say, listen, bitches, you ain't entitled to shit. You need to fucking learn how to read a book. You need to learn how to read a drug book because you're saving people's lives.
I mean that how, but how do you say that people don't do that in nursing school and that people just have a hard time with adjusting their own mentalities? And then
Okay,
when they get
so
to you at the
so
end,
if your students don't read a book and they don't do the right thing on the floor before they give the drugs, do you kick them to the curb?
well, they won't pass it. Well, you won't pass my class unless you can read a book and read
Uh,
the content that you
I
need.
I have a lot of people who come through here that haven't read the book.
Oh well, then I don't know. Did they come to my class? So I'm just kidding.
I'm
I
just
can't
being,
speak for what other people do within their
uh,
classroom. I
but
just know the level of instructor that I am
I
and
got you.
what I
But we
do.
need everybody to have this same level,
What's changing a culture? That's a culture
right? So how
change.
do you change? Because we still talk about Mona. Remember, I brought up Mona.
Yeah, we talk about Mona,
It's
that
still on,
morphine, that
right? But
oxygen.
it's still on the fucking NCLEX. Why is it on the NCLEX? Why don't we change the NCLEX? Why don't we elevate our way of thinking in nursing? Why is nursing the last one to change to evidence-based medicine? Why are we the last ones?
Because no one has forced the culture to be shifted.
So,
Because we do things the way that we've always done them.
right, but when people say that to me, well, that's the way we've always done it, Kevin. The first thing out of my mouth is, yeah, but is that the fucking right way?
That is correct because now things have become more advanced, more evidence, more studies that are there to help us change. But sometimes we teach the things that we've always done because they've always worked and nobody's challenged anyone to shift them. But
Right.
one thing, the NCLEX is shifting this year. I think it changed this month. The NCLEX is shifting. And
Yes,
NCLEX is,
yeah, the NCLEX is changing. Like I heard, it's going to change big time.
mm-hmm.
But how is it going to change?
Well, I think the
What are
idea
the changes?
to make them be able. I think one of the problems and the complaints that was happening was that nurses come out of nursing school not knowing how to critically think. And with that, the idea is to shift it to help them be able to that to make sure they're able to critically think to be able to pass it in
So
clinic
this
to be
is
able to
what's
operate at the
this
bedside.
is what's going to happen. I can foresee it right now. I'm going to predict it right now. That's going to last for maybe a year or two, and you're going to see a significant failure in the NCLEX, and they'll change it back.
Hmm. I
The
think that's what
reason
they're
why,
doing now.
but the reason why is because you said the NCLEX is going to make them answer questions in a critically thinking manner, which nursing instructors, again, don't know how to teach a nurse to critically think. Because if you ask a general nursing student question, what does it mean to use your critical thinking skills? I can tell you most nurses say the same thing. I don't know. They didn't teach us how to use our critical thinking skills.
Don't let them throw them instructors underneath the bus like that.
No, but I'm being honest. I agree with them because I told you this already. You may go through critical thinking exercise, but you got to teach them what it means to have a critical thinking skill. You got to run through the skill first and say that was a critical thinking skill. So that's the
Hmm.
way you got to fucking think. I'll give you an example. You got a patient who's got a blood pressure. Anna says we do, right, Star? Whatever, Anna. I'm
Right.
calling. I'm here. Let me fucking hold my paper up again, Anna, for you too. Right here. Right there, Anna. Can you see that? Can you read that fucking Anna right there? All right, so I'll give you an example. If you have a patient who came into the ER and they didn't have an IV and their blood pressure is 80 over 40, what are you going to do? I
That they
love you,
didn't
Anna.
that they didn't have an IV.
They don't have an IV and their blood pressure is 80 over 40.
Just
What are
give
you
them
going to
something to drink. I'm just playing around. I'm just playing.
Well, I'm not mad at that. That might be the right thing to do.
Oh, that ain't funny. I'm just messing around,
No, but
Kevin.
that
I'm
might
just
that
playing around.
that might be the right thing to do though. But
Well,
if
you gonna
you
sit them
ask
down for what?
Okay,
Before you
but
sit
if you ask 10 nurses that same question, what do you think most of the nurses are going to want to do?
put an IV in the patient.
And give what?
A fluid bolus
Why do they need a fluid bolus?
to try to expand their volume
Why do they need their volume
because
expanded?
they need more volume in their
Who said
intravascular
how
space
do
to
you
raise their blood pressure. That's
how
what
do
they're
you
thinking.
right, but how do you know that's true?
It may not
So
necessarily be
so
true, but
you're in, and I'm
colloids
not
have.
and I know
Go
you're
ahead.
just playing along with, but that right
Yeah.
there is how most nurses think. You've
Hmm.
already treated the patient, but you haven't done what?
You already haven't
You
assessed the patient.
Right, and that's part of the critical thinking process that we're
Hmm.
failing to teach nurses.
Yeah.
Because doctors are taught differently. Doctors are taught to look at pathways. We
Hmm.
they call them algorithms, but
Yep.
nurses hate that word, so I created a new word. We're no longer going to call them algorithms, nurses. We'll call them pathways.
No, you're calling them clinical pathways. You
Oh,
adopted
oh,
that the
yeah,
last time.
clinical pathways.
Thank you.
So you got
Jeez.
clinical pathway A, you got clinical pathway B, clinical pathway C. Create three clinical pathways for your ass. Which
Mhm.
pathway has the best benefits with the least risk? That's how
Yep.
you should train yourself to think.
Absolutely.
That is using critical thinking skills.
I agree with you.
I know, but you have to tell people that.
How do you know I don't tell people that? But we
I
need
don't
to
mean
create a
I
culture of
don't
everybody teaching
yeah,
it.
I don't mean you personally. I mean at
I feel
nursing
like you were
school.
attacking me as an
Uh, uh,
instructor, as an
oh
educator.
my lord. I'm no, I'm
I feel
tagging
like I'm attacked on
I'm
the
attack
air.
I'm attacking you and Anna because both of y'all suck ass. Thank you, Anna. I know you know I'm just bullshitting me.
No, I know you're just playing. I'm
Don't
just
laugh.
going along with the flow.
No, but I know Anna and Lupita. They know me and shit. But look, I made somebody cry who came to my class. See, just tuning in. Can't wait to listen on the way into working. And thank you, Jenna Lee. I love you. But I had a guy that's coming to my class this weekend. I won't tell you his name, but I already made him cry. And he didn't come to my fucking class yet.
Kevin, you're eating. Are you eating your young?
He's like, "Why are you so mad?" I'm like, "I'm not mad. What the fuck is wrong with you?" Well,
Yeah.
he was so upset. He screenshotted the email that I sent him and sent it to the text here in the office, wanting to talk to Miss Pat and Ariana and complain about the instructor, how he was being mean and shit.
And you just don't know?
I'm like,
No.
"Well, yeah, I'm like, man, motherfucker, if you think I'm mad now, wait till you come into class on fucking Saturday. I'm gonna eat your ass up."
Hey, don't eat your young like that, Kevin. That is not the
Oh
way
shit.
to build our nurses. Don't do that.
I know I can't help it. I'm terrible eating my young.
Yeah, don't eat your young. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh
Oh
shit.
my goodness, that is hilarious.
Yeah,
All
but
right,
he
go
doesn't
ahead.
know, does he?
He doesn't know what.
He doesn't
Yeah,
know what's gonna happen to him now. Because
don't be kind.
he's a dude crying.
That's okay. What
No.
makes you think that men can't have emotions
Look at me.
or can't express their emotions?
If you are already upset about the words that came out of my mouth, I ain't eat my young, Anna. I do set the standards. But if you're already crying about what I said in my email, what the fuck are you gonna do when you get somebody that's even worse than me that's really eating your ass? See what I mean? So like I'm an angel compared to most nurses.
Are you?
Hmm.
Okay, that's fair.
I didn't say what kind of angel.
Right. Look, I'm just like, are you? I just want to agree with you because,
Even Lucifer was an angel.
well,
Was he not? Was he not?
well, he's a fallen one, huh?
See, so
All right.
right.
Well,
Students
well,
need to
well.
get ready. I agree with you, Anna. They need to quit being sissies. You don't need a fucking safe place. Your
That's all
safe
right.
place is on your couch at home with your bonbons, not in the hospital.
Well, here's the thing. I really feel like to be the change that we must first start with us. And being able to impact the bedside from beyond the bedside is a privilege to me. And I don't take those opportunities to
Too
sit with
lightly.
future
Yeah.
nurses. No, I don't take it lightly. When I said I do my very best with what I have, to make sure that they're prepared. Because here's the things that I think about is that one, they're going to be taking care of me, they're going to be taking care of my
Right.
kids,
Right.
and I want them to be great nurses. So I go in there with that level of passion, the same passion that I had when I was nursing at the bedside is the same thing I bring into the classroom and hope to um, illustrate that to my students with that. So I am extremely passionate about what I do. And with that, just really, really just trying to drive that impact. But I really feel like we can change it, Kevin. Like, I
I,
think me and you are right now on the brink of changing the profession, right? From
I
different
try.
angles. We are on a way. We are being the examples that we want to see. We are mobilizing the voices of nurses. I think that this is the start of it. So I think that we can really, really do this. Do you believe that?
I do. I try. I try my best. I know I'm people see me is either cocky or arrogant or harsh. Those are the word aggressive is I've been called aggressive before.
Mm,
But I don't think I'm any. I'm confident in what I do. I know what I can do. I'm not afraid of shit. If I don't know shit, I'll ask questions. And I agree with you, Anna. We have a broken system that I don't like to see broken anymore. I'm tired of nurses being abused, used and abused.
hmm
Now it's hard because you get these younger nurses that come in and think that they know everything, or they think they're, like you said, entitled to shit, and they have no idea what the fuck we've been through.
hmm
And sometimes you just need to sit down and shut the fuck up and watch and learn first before support us. Don't just act like you're gonna take over and shit.
Yeah.
I ain't dead yet, bitches.
I'm still here trying to change the
I'm
world.
still here trying to change the world. So calm the hell down out there.
You'll get your turn. You'll get your
Yeah.
turn. Your turn
Yeah.
gonna come.
I'll
Don't
die
rush it.
someday. Don't worry.
That is amazing. Well, Kevin, I think it's been a great, great episode of talking about what are some of the benefits and what are some of the challenges that nurses face, as well as who makes a great float nurse, and making sure your big thing in the green room was making sure not that you're just confident, because if you're confident without confidence, you're setting yourself up for a disaster, but making sure you are a competent nurse who are confident in their skills. And if you have those two together in that exact order, not opposite, right? Then you are going to make some game changing moves at the bedside for your nurses and be able to combat some of the challenges that you all face.
Right.
So, um,
And thank you,
yeah.
everybody. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Lupita, for busting my balls. I love you guys.
And Miss
And
Jackie, gotta give Miss Jackie kudos
yes,
because she's
thank you,
been
Jackie.
supporting you on the other
Yes,
end over there,
yes,
making sure you got your good content.
yes. I think
So we
yes. Thank you,
appreciate y'all so
Jacqueline.
much.
Thank you, Jenna Lee. Even though you didn't get to hear us, don't worry. You can always replay this shit.
Yeah, it'll be up. We're
Yeah.
definitely gonna leave it up. All right, Kevin, we'll send
Thank you,
us out.
guys. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I hope you have fun here with the Nurse podcast. Don't forget to go see Starshema at Brand Nurse Coach. Come visit us at Central Valley Medical, and we're here all the time when you need us. Thank
Yes,
you
because
guys. We appreciate you.
here's the thing: to be a good, confident float nurse, you need NRP, you need your PALS and your ACLS, and Central Valley Medical is the answer
That's
to
right.
all three. All
I got
right, y'all.
I
Go ahead.
appreciate you guys. Thank you. No, I appreciate all you. Thank you very much.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Take care, you
Love
guys.
you too, Lupita.
Love,
Love you too, Jacqueline.
Jacqueline.
Love you
Yes.
too, Anna.
All right, y'all. Take care.
See you
Good
later.
night.
All right.
Bye.